Hey guys, my name is Eric from Guestbox, and in this video I want to show you how to authenticate your emails and authenticate your domains for sending so that you get higher deliverability rates, lower spam rates, and overall your brand slash business looks more trustworthy. So to begin, I'm just going to show you what authentication looks like. Now, the simplest way I can show you this is just by, this is a test email sent to myself through SendGrid. If I click on this little icon in in Gmail, you see how down here it says mailed by app.guestbox.io and signed by guestbox.io. This means these emails have been authenticated. So the receiving party has noted the fact that they're authenticated. And how do they get authenticated? Through two main methods. DKIM, which stands for Domain Keys Identified Message, and SPF, which is Sender Policy Framework. Two different ways of signing your emails, which just pretty much tells the receiving client that you are who you say you are and that you are legitimate and nobody else can impersonate you. So you are allowed to send from this domain. As you can see here, DKIM is pass, SPF is pass. Designates as a permitted sender and so forth. So this might look like a lot of mumbo jumbo to you at the moment, but by the end of this video, you'll know what I'm talking about. So firstly, let's just go ahead and show you a couple of easy things to see whether or not you're even authenticated. Because some of you might be, some of you might not be. If you're using Guestbox to send emails, you're probably going to be using SendGrid / Google Apps. So we're going to authenticate with both those platforms to make sure that our emails get sent through correctly and they get sent through officially. Now, let's go ahead and first go to a website called mxtoolbox.com. And this will tell you everything about your kind of mail server and your domain. So let's just type in guestbox.io. You can type it in your domain as well. This will look at just my MX record, so where my domain is pointing, right? So in this case, Google Apps is managing my primary domain, my primary email service, right, for this domain. However, let's go ahead and type in SPF, guestbox.io, and this will show you who's signing my emails, right? So this, well, first of all, this will show you whether or not I actually have SPF added to my the domain, and whether or not I don't. So here's a couple of things you can look out for. Obviously, it's passed. So right now I'm using Google. I'm signing with Google. That's Sender Policy Framework, and I'm signing with MailerLite, which is the service I use for newsletters. Okay. Now, Sender Policy Framework, just to give you an overview, is a simple email validation system designed to detect email spoofing by providing a mechanism to allow receiving mail exchangers to check that incoming mail from a domain comes from a host authorized by that domain administrators, right? So it just helps people avoid getting their domain spoofed, in that sense, somebody using your domain, a spammer, for instance, and sending things on behalf of you. So that's why you need this, right? Now, DKIM is simply enough. It's, again, does the same thing. It detects email spoofing by telling the receiving exchange that the key that is given to your domain, to your mail server, is it links up with the public key provided. So as long as those two keys link up, the private and the public, that means that you can send correctly and you can send via an authentication method. But you guys, you can read about this more in detail in the links provided in the blog post. But let's go ahead and first show you how to set this all up. So once you've done this and seen whether or not your domain has either of these two things already done, you can you can take a look at what's going on. So now let's move on to let's say SendGrid. Okay, and let's say if I want to authenticate with SendGrid, the benefit of this being when I'm sending cold outbound emails in mass, they have a much higher chance of being delivered successfully to the person's inbox, not to their junk mail, and the person receiving the emails will sometimes see an authenticated symbol next to your name if they're using Gmail, which means that the person who's sending the email is legit and it's not just some random spammer. So if you're using SendGrid, which I do recommend, the way you want to do this is go to Settings, and then you want to go to White Labels. Here will tell you a little bit about what's going on and what the difference is between a white labeled example and a non-white labeled example. As I showed you before, when it's white labeled, it looks like you sign your own domains like so. Otherwise, let's say if you're using SendGrid, we're going to be sending it on behalf of SendGrid, and that will reduce our deliverability because it's not signed effectively, right? So to go ahead and show you again, like so. Now, once you're here and you've created your account in SendGrid, I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one for now. I don't need this. Do this one as well. These are just existing white labels that's set up. So first you want to go ahead and click Add Domain. In this case, if you signed up with a domain already to SendGrid, then it should appear here. If not, you'll click Use New Domain and you'll type in your domain name. .io, and you need a subdomain for that. So make sure you pick a name that isn't mail, because that can interfere with some I guess login stuff and some server stuff, because mail.your domain is typically a login for your mail server most of the time on your host. So don't use mail. Use anything else like send or out or server, whatever you want. So first of all, go ahead and select that and type in your subdomain. Once you've got that set up, it's going to create that for you, and it's going to ask you to validate. And it's going to present you with some information, like so. Now, this information is what you're going to want to put into your DNS. And in order to change your DNS, you can either do it by accessing the DNS console from wherever your name servers are pointed, your domain name servers. Most typically, this is going to be your web host. Now, you could do it that way. However, in this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to do it through Cloudflare. It's a lot easier and it's a lot quicker. You don't have to wait 24 to 48 hours for propagation, which means there's less delays with the whole process. And it's just a very easy solution to use. So Cloudflare, what Cloudflare kind of really does, it increases performance of your website, increases security, and simply just lets you manage a lot of those features to do with your server quicker. So it reroutes all traffic through Cloudflare, and Cloudflare will then optimize your site speed. It will cache images. You can set up different rules about what happens when people visit a certain page. You can use their SSL certificates. You can set caching levels and whatnot. But we're not going to talk about that so much now. The reason I'm bringing up Cloudflare is because you can sign up for free with Cloudflare. You don't have to pay the pro fee. And when you sign up for free, you still get access to the DNS functions here. And this is just a really easy way to have a comprehensive, medium through which to manage your DNS. Once you've signed up, you're going to have to go and move all your existing records. So all the stuff that you have now, if you have any if you have any MX records or any other DNS records currently being managed by your control panel, your DNS control panel on your host, if that's where your domain name servers are being pointed to, then you'll have to go ahead and copy all that information and replicate it here so that your website doesn't go down, right? So once you've done all that, then you can rest assured that your website is now faster and it's more secure and it's not down, of course. then you can start adding those DNS records here. So if this is what I'm being asked to do, I'll just go into Cloudflare, I'll hit add a record. Sorry, I'll type in what kind of record it is. In this case, it's going to be a CNAME. I can make up any one. Go guestbox.io. That's the subdomain, for instance, if need be. You can leave it to time to leave. You can leave it to automatic, and I'll hit add a record. Okay. Now, obviously, this isn't a real one, but that's how easy it is to do. So you will just have to take in the information that SendGrid provides you with to authenticate your domain, and once that is authenticated, you just use this data. For you, it will always obviously be different because it's a kind of account-specific information. This is just my stuff. Then you'll have your domain validated, and you can go ahead and click validate on that to make sure it's validated. And it'll say it's valid, which means it's good, which means that from now on, any emails that are being sent out, they're going to be, being sent out through SendGrid, will be authenticated with you. So mailed by app.guestbox.io or whatever your equivalent domain will be. And that just makes you look more legitimate straight away. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and set up email links. Likewise, this just, so any links that you put in your email, any HTML links for tracking purposes, whatever it is, they're automatically replaced with your official domain. So to give you an example of what this might look like, I'm not sure if you can see, but if I hover over this clicked on subscribe button, as you can see at the bottom in my status bar, so it would be around here where my mouse is, it will show link.guestbox.io, yada yada yada, unsubscribe, and then all that kind of stuff, instead of showing a SendGrid URL or something, somebody else's URL. You will just have your domain. And likewise for every other link that you post into your email, it will automatically be applied in that fashion. This could be anything. It could be links to your homepage, links to blogs, videos, any link you post will be done accordingly for tracking purposes. To do that, again, it's pretty simple. You have to go to email link white labels, click new white label, you select your domain, and you select type in a subdomain that you want to use for all your links. Similarly how we did it before. You can make it anything you want, so you can make it click here, clicky, whatever you want. You click save, confirm. Again, it's going to go ahead and tell you what your details are. With SendGrid, it's pretty easy. They're all CNAME records, so you don't need to actually put in any DKIM/SPF related stuff here just yet. Well, I mean, all you're really saying is just this is an alias of SendGrid, so it allows you to do it that way. I'm just going to delete this for now. You can see that, as you can see here. So CNAME app is an alias of SendGrid, and likewise, this is app.guestbox.io is an alias of SendGrid. Now, so we've talked about using Cloudflare to manage all of this stuff, and I definitely recommend it. You don't have to use it. You can continue using your own host or your own DNS register, but I would recommend Cloudflare. Just much easier and much quicker as a solution to do. Once you got it set up the first time, then in the future, if you ever need to change something or if you ever need to make updates to your DNS, just do it through here. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is if you're using Google Apps, is setting up authentication. I know a lot of people don't actually do this, and I was surprised when I realized, but to set up DKIM authentication within Google Apps, that when you send emails through Google Apps, as we will be doing later on, especially if you send larger quantities, then you want to have those emails signed and authenticated again with Google, so that whoever you're sending the email to receives it and realizes that you are legit. Now, to start doing that, you want to click on Apps. Once you've logged into your Google Apps admin panel, click on Google Apps and click on Gmail. Now you want to move down to where it says Authenticate Email. And here, well, right now it's authenticating my email, but this will just, I recommend this link as well. This will tell you how everything works. And then you just, yeah, so it'll give you a record. You can generate a new record. You got to do the same thing. Go into Cloudflare or whatever you use and put in that information, except it would be done in the form of a text record. And then you type in the appropriate information. Like down here, I have Google, which is well, this is the one here I have. This is authenticated with MailerLite as well, because as you remember, we did it here initially. And as you can see here, yep, so that's what we're looking for. Now, the next thing is your SPF, okay? And now to sign an SPF with Google, it's not that difficult. Just, it's kind of a one-for-all thing. You just use this record. And similarly, you just go into whatever you need to go into. You create a text record. Here it would be either typically it's just your domain or a at mark. I forget an at sign. Sorry, depending on how your host or provider allows you to do it. And then you would click in your record, text record content from Google, which is like so. Now, bear in mind, if you are using multiple services, it's best to add those text record signages into one, I guess, record rather than having 5 or 6 different lookups. Rather add them into one continuous record. And most of the time, you do that by typing in something like that. Then you do this. Whoever your other providers are, you do it that way. And then you close off with the little squiggly line. I mean, all. That's how you set up domain authentication, and I guarantee it's completely and utterly worth it. Your inbox rates will increase, your response rates, your open rates. People will trust you more. The chances you're going into spam are a lot lower, and just most service providers give you just a lot more trust on the matter. So once you've done that, and if you're still using Google Apps, what you want to do is go to postmaster.google.com. And this is where you will add your domain once you've done that as well. So you just click on the plus sign, you type in your domain. And it will tell you what to add for Postmaster tools. And then again, you put that. Again, you place that in your DNS. As you can see, I have the verification one here. And then that will be added to Postmaster tools. And what's good about this is Google will give you information about about what's going on and about how well you're performing, how well your domain's performing. But in order to actually get this data, you need to be sending out quite a few, at least a couple of thousand emails a month. Through Google's SMTP until they start giving you this information. But definitely worth it. Now that we've kind of covered that, I want to just talk to you a little bit more about SendGrid and some of the other cool features that you can employ once you start using it. And for a couple of the very simple ones is tracking. So we click on tracking. You should make sure that all of this stuff is activated. Now, click tracking, this overwrites all links in every email with trackable links that you know when people click on something, when people don't click on something. And then if you go to activity over here, you can then filter through clicks. Yeah, this is for it's the beginning of the month. We haven't had any clicks so far, but in any case, so you'll see information here about all of that. Yeah. So yeah, so they'll the links get tracked, and all that information shows up here. You can filter through different stages that your cold emails go out through, or your regular emails go out through, and what stage each customer is at, or each prospect is at. So it's very good to have that individual data. Now, if we go back to tracking, so Google Analytics, this is good. So this pretty much, it will append a certain URL tag to each link, or any link that you need to be appended to in your emails, so that you can open it up in Google Analytics, and then you can track where traffic came from. You have your own little campaign. You'll have a campaign in Google Analytics that will say, it'll be called this, for instance. Whatever you specify here, we can edit that, specify different information here, and then when you go and check Google Analytics, you'll see how many clicks specifically came through from that person, or from that link, or from that email, from this time, whatnot. So it's just a good way of tracking conversion rates and things like that with Google Analytics, especially if you got an e-commerce store and you're promoting that, or if you've got a specific sign-up form that you've got goal tracking set up for in Google Analytics. This will give you an additional source of data that you can plug into that and then review later on. Open tracking, yes, as the name suggests, it puts a little invisible image into all the HTML emails so that it can tell whether or not the email has been opened. Check it on, yep. Subscription tracking, I mean, this is always really good, and this is just a simple message that says, if the person isn't interested, they can click the link and they can unsubscribe from your list. So as you can see here, it's all automatically inserted, so you don't have to worry about putting it in or forgetting to put it in. So it gets automatically inserted at the bottom of every email, unless you specify a different place where you want it to appear. But by default, it will appear at the bottom of each of your emails. And here you can create a little landing page that SendGrid will create for you, or you can specify your own landing page URL where you want them to redirect to once they click on the subscription link. And let's go over to mail settings. And mail settings, I like SendGrid in the sense that there's a lot of really cool, easy things you can do really quickly. So footer automatically sticks a custom footer into each email, so you have nothing to worry about. There. You can edit it how you want, just copy and paste it, or you can add in HTML through the source code. I wrote up an article recently about the persuasive power of email signatures, which I recommend you read. It's all about this, and I give you different templates for email signatures, and I talk about what works best for me. So you can access that on our blog at any time, really. Now we've got footer. I'm not using all of these, but they do come in handy if you want them. If you want to use them, if you want to blind carbon copy somebody for every email it's sent, you can. This is more useful for using something like Zapier, or a company I was using called Mail Parser that would automatically extract information of all emails that are sent. And to access their service, you just send them a kind of a blind carbon copy email of all emails you send out to a specific address they give you. And then there's many other steps to go along with that, and you can get more data back, and you can analyze that and export that, import that. So you can really get creative with it, but I won't really go too much into that. You can figure out there's plenty of different services that do really cool things like this. Certainly BCC is helpful for stuff like that. Bounce purge just tells you should you delete bounce records from SendGrid after a specified number of days. I don't like to delete them. I like to know who bounced, so I don't accidentally email them again. This is more, I guess this is more from a technical side of things. This will just send event notifications to a URL or to a third-party service, maybe to your Slack account, maybe to whatever you have set up that you want to integrate this with. So this will just send kind of notifications there about what's happening. pretty quickly. So that's that. Forward bounces, it's pretty self-explanatory. Forward spam, again. Legacy email templates, you can customize your outgoing HTML emails. Don't really need this as such. You can create a template here, but if you're using Guestbox, then you can you'll just be using a pretty standard template. You don't really gonna get too fancy with outbound. You're not sending newsletters effectively, so that this doesn't really apply, I think. Convert your plain text to HTML. Again, to each their own. Turn on if you don't want to convert your plain text to convert your plain text email to HTML. So yeah, spam checker, again, it will check. This is cool in the sense that it will automatically check all emails that you send out for spam, and you can be relatively aggressive or not aggressive enough, and then it will again post that information to a URL which is integrated with a API of some sort or with your system of some respect. So so that's all very helpful. Of course, if you are using SendGrid, it is wise. I mean, this is like a dummy account, but it is wise to get a private IP address, and you get that by upgrading to their kind of $70 a month package. I mean, it's good to have, because then that way you manage your IP reputation. Your IP reputation is shared with anybody else, thereby accidentally reducing your IP reputation and reducing maybe the amount of emails that actually are successfully able to be sent from your account. However, for the most part, I mean, I've been using it for months with and without. For the most part, it doesn't make a huge difference unless you're sending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of emails, which doing cold, you're not going to be really doing unless you want to get kicked out and not really be able to do it anymore and cause issues for yourself. So it's the name of the game is not spam. The name of the game is highly personalized, highly targeted emails where you build relationships and open dialogues to further facilitate a future relationship or a future business transaction. Right. So I mean that's all for today. I hope this gave you an idea of how everything works. Make sure to read up a little bit about DKIM and SPF and how they work. If you have any questions, as always, please don't hesitate to contact me via email or use the live chat button on our site to get in touch. So thanks so much, and see you next time.